Hello everyone and welcome back to Intensely Relaxed Gaming and our Arkham Horror series. Let's just jump straight into it. If you want to know more about how this series is operating and what our aims and objectives are, please do go and check out our first video in the series, as I spend a little bit of time at the front explaining that. In terms of the sort of bookkeeping between the scenarios, I had 5 experience points. So what I've gone for is the upgraded beat cop. So I've got one of those, and then I have upgraded to include 2 magnifying glasses, discarding one of my old magnifying glasses, and mind over matter, which I think is going to suit me less in this one. Magnifying glass basically means that it comes back into my hand if there are no clues in my location, but it's fast and it now costs 0 rather than 1. And the beat cop basically allows me to also now do damage by exhausting him and him taking damage at enemies at our location. So it gives us a little bit more, fighting power as well, sort of capitalising on Roland's strengths there. In for a penny, in for a pound. So let's just get all these cards nicely shuffled and we will read the intro. So, in the wake of the disaster at your home, Lita Chandler, the red-haired woman from your parlour, lays out a tale that, even in the light of what you have just witnessed, strains the limits of your belief. The creatures in your home, she claims, are called ghouls, cruel beings who plague the crypts, caverns and tunnels beneath the city of Arkham. These creatures feed on the corpses of humans, and they are served by a dark cult within Arkham whose members have inexplicably come to worship the ancient master of the ghouls. The cult has been killing innocent people and feeding them to the ghouls, sating a monstrous hunger. A dark balance was maintained until now. Recently, Lita continues, one of their lairs where the corpses were stored was destroyed. Since then, the ghouls have been more active than usual. I have tracked their movements and tried my best to stop them from running amok throughout the city. But I think there is something worse going on. The cult has been planning something darker and more ominous than anything I have yet observed. Indications are that this plan shall come to fruition tonight, shortly after midnight. Beyond that, I cannot fathom what to expect. Many of the cultists, Lita continues, will seem like everyday people, despite their foul intentions. Whenever the cult meets, its members don masks shaped like the skulls of various animals to protect their identities from one another. These masks are our mark, symbols of death and decay. We must unmask the cultists to expose and derail their plans, but we have but a few hours. The more cultists we find before midnight, the better. So, that is the fluff and story. In terms of the agenda and acts, the agenda has us that Lita seems convinced of a conspiracy within the city of Arkham. She believes that a secret cult serves ghouls that live in the crypts beneath the city, and that several of the cult's prominent members are scattered throughout Arkham. As you begin to search for them, you can't shake the feeling that you too are being hunted. I have the option to resign at any point if you don't want to risk taking too long, so we've got 6 doom on that. That might be something to bear in mind. And Act 1 for uncovering the conspiracy. You have 1 night to find the members of the cult and unveil their plan. The more members of the cult you can find and interrogate before midnight, the better. As an action, investigators can spend 2 clues per investigator as a group to draw the top card of the cultist deck. That's this deck over here. Find as many unique cultist enemies as you can and add them to the victory display. If there are 6 unique cultist enemies in the victory display, advance. And it does note that not all 6 of the cultists are in there. I imagine there must be some in this encounter deck. So, we've shuffled this, and I will just double check I've shuffled this by giving it a quick old shuffle. And we shall see what this multi-location scenario, I mean, it's very rare that you set up, it seems in my experience, a scenario straight away with 8 locations. There were 9, but the 9th was my house that I burnt down. So that doesn't start in the game. So we shall start by drawing our opening hand and seeing if we need to take a mulligan. I've got the beat cop straight off, but other than that, I'm pretty unimpressed with that. So I'll keep the beat cop, and then I'm going to draw 4 more and hope that these are better. I've got Vicious Blow, and I've got Dr. Milan Christopher, which enhances my investigate. Okay, so not the greatest hand. I would have liked some, like I say, the flashlights, or you know, anything to sort of broaden out my skill set. I've got nothing really to do extra damage, so less than happy with that. My first action then, getting kicked straight off, is I need more investigate. I need to bolster that, so I'm going to go up to 4 with him there. And I will try and seek a clue. So Dr. Millen gives me an extra investigate. So I'm on 4 versus the Shroud of 1, so I should be alright here, famous last words. And I get a 0. So we do claim the clue here. And then after you successfully investigate, I gain a resource. So he's going to be my engine to sort of prop things up. And then we've got a number of locations we can go to. We could go to the Miskatonic University, we could go to the south side, we could go to my house, which is what that symbol is, which doesn't exist. We could go to, what's the half moon? Oh, it's East Town. Or we can go to the graveyard. Well, I feel like universities are famous areas of scholars that have dug too deep into the evil literature, so I might be prone to it. So I'm going to come over here. And that's got 2 clues on it. And as an action, I can search the top 6 cards of my deck for a tome or spell deck, or spell card, and add it to my hand. Well, I don't really have a huge amount of those, but it's a Shroud of 4, which is going to make this difficult. But I'll gain a resource nonetheless and draw a card at the end of turn. And I gain a knife. Not the worst, I guess. Not the worst. Okay. So, then at the start of turn, we're going to add a doom. I'm going to draw an encounter card, and I've got a hunting night gaunt. So, when attempting to evade it, I've got to double the negative modifier. Well, I'm not going to be trying to evade it, but it's got 4 health and 3 fight, so it's got quite a lot of resilience there. But I should be okay. Mind you, 4 damage is quite a lot for something that I am gonna struggle to do damage to. Okay. So in fact, at the start of my turn, I am going to try and evade it straight away, because I want to get my other pieces out before trying to commit to that. So I'm going to try and evade, and I'm going to discard manual dexterity, which increases my evade by 2. So I've got an evade of 4 against its evade of 1, but it's going to double any negative. -3, so it becomes a -6. That definitely isn't going to help. Is there anything else that I can try and do? Not really. So we'll try again. Second evade. +1. So that's good. So second action, I have managed to evade him there. So we'll leave him attached to the zone. And then we will go down to St Mary's Hospital. So we're going to come down here. And there's 1 clue there. And it has an action on it that I can heal for 3 damage once per game by spending an action there. So that's not too awful. But that turned over quite quickly due to me trying to evade, draw a card and a resource. I've got dodge, which would have been helpful last turn. I might have stayed there otherwise. And then we are going to put a doom counter and draw an encounter card. So I've got a Crypt Chill I'm going to test my will, my brain stat. If you fail, choose and discard one asset you control. If not, if you cannot, take 2 damage instead. Really, I really don't want that to happen. So I'm already going to be struggling here because it's 4 versus my 3. I'm going to play a dodge because I really don't want to lose Millen straight that quickly. So I'm currently 4 versus 4. Oh god. -2. Well, Christopher, how little we know you. This is going awful so far. So I failed that, lost Christopher. First action then is going to be to play the beat cop, I think. We need to reassert. So we're going to get rid of 4 assets for that. And then I will... I'm going to investigate, so it's going to be a shroud of 2 versus my investigate stat of 3 now, which was a bit annoying. 3 minus 1 is still okay, we've got 2. And then my final action is actually going to be to discard emergency cache for 3 resources, because I desperately need them at the moment. So I've got my little beat cop pal, but we're otherwise not looking too great. I could spend 2 clues, but it is the end of my turn, so just being cautious, I'm going to wait. That would have stepped up last time, wouldn't it? So going through the hunter phase, he's actually going to move towards me and attach. So I've now got that hunting nightgaunt back on me. We then gain a resource and draw a card. That's not bad. So I've got Lita Chandler's just arrived in my hand, which is very helpful. Okay, I'm feeling more positive about that. And I'm going to gain a Doom token on there, so we're up to 3. And I've got Obscuring Fog attached to your location, and it increases the shroud by 2. Well, I don't care about that because I've already taken all the clues off there, so that couldn't have been better in that respect. Okay, so now we have the Hunting Nightgaunt, so I think I've got to take this out straight away. So I am going to play Vicious Blow, so that takes my stat up to 6. 6 versus its 3. I should be okay here. I get the shield, which is -3. But that's fine because it's 6 versus 3, so it takes 2 damage. I'm going to exhaust the beat cop and deal 1 damage to it and 1 damage. Excuse me. I'm going to exhaust it to do 1 damage to the beat cop and 1 damage to the hunting nightgaunt. And then my final action, I'm not going to risk it. I'm going to discard the knife. To gain +1, so again it's going to be a 6 versus 3, and I'm going to get +1, of course I do, to finish off the Nightgaunt in 2 actions there. So that is discarded. No victory points unfortunately. Vicious Blow is discarded. So that was 2 actions. Yeah. So my third action is going to be to get Lita out, so she gains me +1. I couldn't get her out before because playing any asset would have allowed it to attack me. The mechanics of whether that would have been better or worse, I'll let you guys decide. But she's actually free, which works out really well. So that's my 3 actions. I'm going to gain a resource and draw a card. And I've got the Research Librarian. So that's going to be quite helpful in terms of getting stuff out for... I really want that Tome of Old Lore because that's a real card draw cycle engine, which clearly I'm suffering with at the moment. No monsters to move. I've got my resource, got my card. We put another Doom token on here, so we're at 4 from 6. Ooh, false lead. If you have no clues, false lead gains surge. If you have 1 or more clues, test your investigate, and for each point you fail by, place 1 clue on your location. Brilliant. So I've got my 2 clues, and I've got to test my book, which is 3 currently. So there's nothing I can do to buff it either. So I only lose 1 clue. Let's put that back in the bag. Lose 1 clue back onto my location. And that is dealt with. So I'm now back to not being able to do what I was hoping to do. It's just an object in futility so far. My first action then is going to be to spend 2 resources to get the research librarian, which is going to enable me to search for a tomb. Old Book of Lore is on the bottom, so quite happy with that. I think if anything I want monsters to come out. I think I'm better prepared for that. And then I'm going to spend 3 straight away to get the Book of Lore out, and then I'm going to exhaust the Book of Lore to look at the first 3 cards. Oh, not that one. And brilliant. I've got a magnifying glass, and I actually got my treachery, which I don't need to do, so I'm going to shuffle that back in. I mean, this couldn't be better because I'm going to play the magnifying glass straight away because it's a fast action. So that is us done, I believe. No, I've still got 1, haven't I? I played this, played that. That's a fast action. So we are going to try and investigate. See what we get. Ooh, +/-1. So it's currently a 4. And I am currently a 4. Yeah, so that is, there's nothing I can do that bolsters that. Nope. So unfortunately I failed at the investigation there. Again, no monsters, so I'll draw a card and gain a resource, and then we put a doom counter. We're up to 5 now. Ooh, we draw an encounter card, so I've got to test my reflexes, my agility, and against a 4, if you fail, take 1 damage and 1 horror, then disengage from each non-gaunt enemy engaged with you and move to a central location. So effectively I'm going to be back there. I'm not going to pass this. I don't even think there's anything that I can do to pass it. -1, no chance. So I fail that. I'm going to take 1 damage and 1 horror, and then move to a central location. So I've moved back here, which is largely ineffective for me. Well, I basically did nothing down there. So I'm going to go downtown as my first action. So going to come down here. There's 2 clues here. Now I can heal horror. 3 horror once again there, which is something I might consider doing. And yet again, another really high shroud area. So I'm going to do the Book of Lore. I really need a flashlight here, which I get. Okay, so I've got a flashlight. I'm going to shuffle the rest back in. So I've moved. I'm going to try and investigate, because there's no point me playing the flashlight, because I'd need to get a resource, which is a bit of a waste of an action really. So 4 versus 4, let's see what we get. -4, of course, just to add salt into the wound. So we fail there. We're going to draw a card and gain a resource because there are no monsters to move. But then we are going to skip ahead because we're going to discard all 6 of the Doom tokens there, because we've reached the threshold for the agenda. So we have the Masked Masked Hunter even, engaged with me. It's got 4 health, a fight of 4 and a flee of 2. It gains +2 health per investigator, so it's actually at 6. And when you're engaged with the monster, you cannot discover or spend clues. Okay. So then we've got I assume we've still got... This is an odd one where I think we still have a number 2. Yeah, that's right. So we go to number 2. But we've got the Masked Horror with us now. Ooh, it's got 6 health. Okay. Well, I think first of all I just need to exhaust the Beat Cup to do 1 damage to it. I think I'm going to take some damage to get the automatic... Oh, I can't get it out. I can't get it out. Let's do... No, let's not exhaust the Old Book of Law. I've just realised that's an action. I hope I haven't overspent my actions, but I may have done last turn. So be aware of that. I just realised it's not an automatic action, it's or a lightning action. It does cost a literal action. So I think... Well, let's actually, before we exhaust the Beat Cop, let's see what we're going to be dealing with, because Lita does give us +1 damage. So she's going to take us up to a 6 fight against its 4. So let's see what happens. -1, so takes 2 damage, taking it up to 3 total. No, sorry, 2 total, what am I saying? So it's taken 2 damage. Second attack. We are going for a 6 versus... Ooh! So we critically success, +1 for each clue at your location, so it doesn't do anything other than that. But it does mean that it takes 2 more damage, so it's on 4. Final action, again 6 versus 4 again. -2 though, we're okay, so we managed to kill the Masked Hunter in 1 go. So that's not too bad. And Roland's thing is after I defeat an enemy, I discover 1 clue at our location. So we've got 2 clues again now. So we can try and find one of these cultists, assuming nothing messes up our hand. Okay, no hunters. So drawing a card and gaining a resource. Gained a knife again. So not awful. I need to get the flashlight out next though. We put a Doom on there, so we're first towards 8. Let's see what we've got now. We really need to get these cultists uncovered. I haven't uncovered any masks yet, but we've got a Crypt Chill. Test against your mind, and if you fail, which I'm probably going to do, I don't think there's even anything I want to discard for it. There's nothing that I can do to discard. So it's going to be 3 versus 4. And a skull is... No, I don't get in anything. It's currently 0, but it still does mean I lose. So I've got to discard an asset, which I think is just going to be the Research Librarian. He's already done his job of finding me the Book of Old Law. So it's not the worst. And so then we are going to go. So I think my first action is I need to get this flashlight out. So that's 2 resources. But it has 3 supplies on it, so you may as well just put them on here like that. I'm going to spend a supply, and I am going to reduce the shroud on here by 2. So it's effectively, I've gone up to a 4 still, and the shroud on this is 2. Oh. Skull is still 0, so that's great. So I'm going to take that second clue. Then, so I've played that, done that, so my third and final action is to spend 2 clues and draw the top card of the cultist deck. So this is Herman Collins. He is the Undertaker, he is in the graveyard, and I can choose and discard 4 cards from my hand to add him to my victory display. So I've got 3 currently, and they're not cards I'm particularly worried about losing. I would like the gun, but we've got to keep the eye on the prize here. So we're going to draw a card, which is another flashlight, gain a resource, put a Doom counter on, so we're a quarter way through the second agenda card here. And then I've got Hunting Shadow, so it's a curse. And peril does... Oh, it just means I can't talk with anyone. I must either spend 1 clue or take 2 damage. I'm going to take 2 damage because Roland is relatively healthy. Famous last words. So that gets rid of that. And then we are going to go down to Herman, I think. We'll go through East Town. That seems sensible. So first action is to go to East Town. It's got 1 clue on it. While you're in East Town, reduce the cost of each ally asset you play by 2. Okay. So is the guard dodge something that I want to get out? No, I don't think so. I think I'm okay with that. I'm going to flashlight and see what we get. -4, so that hasn't helped. And then last one, we'll flashlight again. And we're fine with that one, so we get this clue. What I forgot to do is the magnifying comes back up into my hand, because that's what its special rules say, and the flashlight is discarded, because we have cleared all of its supplies. I think that's all that's going to happen. We've got monsters. It hasn't got the hunter, so it doesn't move. So Herman is just going to stay there. I'm going to draw a card. Oh, I've got my basic weakness. So Revelation, discard all of your resources. So it's not the worst, because I didn't have very many, but I could have done with those 2, because I was hoping to get my flashlight back out. I'm going to put a Doom. We're up to 3 Doom and draw an encounter card. I've got an Acolyte. Spawn on any empty location. Well, if it's my choice, I'm going to put it in Rivertown, because I'm likely to be going back through Rivertown. So we'll put him there. Oh, that's not done. So my first action is I'm going to come down here. My second action, because Herman's going to engage me, is I'm going to choose and discard these 4 cards from my hand. It's a bit of a sacrifice, but I think I'm going to need to do it because I at least need to get some of these masks done. So he comes into my victory display and cover the graveyard. And oh, I should have done this first actually. So I've got to test my willpower at a test 3. So it's 3 versus 3 at the moment, and a 0, so no effect. The game knew. The game knew. So I moved. This cultist has a horror token on it, I need to remember. So I've moved, I've done the parlay with Herman to gain him to the victory display. So my final action is I'll play the magnifying glass for free, and then I'm just going to investigate. So again, 4 versus 1. I feel fairly confident of being able to do this one. It's -2, so I still get the clue, but it puts a Doom token on the nearest cultist, which is this Acolyte. So I need to go and kill that Acolyte very quickly, because he is really going to ramp things up very badly for me. But end of turn, the cultist isn't going to move because it's not got Hunter. Draw a card, and I've got my other treachery, which is cover up. I've got to bring it in with 3 clue tokens. This is going from bad to worse, really. If you would discover 1 clue from your location instead, discard that many clues from cover up instead. And when the game ends, if there are any clues in cover up, I suffer a mental trauma. Absolutely brilliant. Wow, that's awful. We put a Doom on here, so it's now on effectively 6, which is getting a bit dicey, really. And then where I am is got Obscuring Fog, so it's got a +2 on there. Okay, wow. I am going to do something a little meta. I am going to move with the acolyte. So I'm going to come to the acolyte, he's going to attach to me, and I'm going to move. So that's 2 actions, and I actually take a damage and a trauma from that, from the attack of opportunity from the acolyte. But there is method to this madness, because I'm going to do 1 damage to my beat cop to do 1 damage to this acolyte, which kills it and gets rid of these doom tokens. And because of Roland, once I defeat an enemy at my location, I can claim a clue. I'm not discovering a clue, so that doesn't affect cover up. And then my final action is I'm going to discard 2 clues to draw a cultist, which is Wolfman Drew. He's downtown. And when he attacks, he is going to heal 1 damage from him. That's quite bad. But he hasn't got a hunter, so he's not coming after me. So I'm going to draw 1 and a resource. Again, emergency cache, which isn't particularly helpful. And we're going to put a doom counter on this. Draw a card. I might have to think about resigning soon, because we're up to 5 and I'm not really sure what I'm doing. If you have no clues, false low, no. Okay, so this is test my investigate, and if I fail by 1, fail, then I place 1 or more clues from myself onto my location. I've definitely failed with a -4. There's a certain resigned nature to the way this scenario is going. I feel like I've been set up from the very get-go, really. So that's the false lead dealt with. I'm going to go to north side, because I'm not really getting much out of the Mesotonic. I'm going to struggle to do anything there. Okay, and it's got an action there, 2 clues on its location, but its action there is 5 resources. Allow you to gain 2 clues from the token pool. Well, I think it's going to be a real struggle. So that's my first action. My second action is going to be I'm going to try doing this cover up and getting these clues, simply because I don't need another mental trauma at the end of this. -1, that's fine, so 3 ends up in 3 versus 3. I don't gain a clue off there, but I do gain 1 from the cover up, and I'm going to do that again. And a 0, so that's pretty good. Get rid of those 2 cover up cards. Done. So draw a card and a resource. I've got working on a hunch, which allows me to discover a clue at my location. So I might go and try and fight that Wolfman actually in a second. We'll see. Okay, we've got to add another Doom token to here, and I may either spend a clue, which I don't have, or take 2 damage. So I'm going to have to take 2 damage. I'm up to 6 out of my maximum 9 damage thanks to this hunting shadow. And then I think I'm just going to go and try and kill this guy. Kill this Wolfman. So we are currently at 6. I don't think there's anything I want to... Well, actually, before we leave, I'm going to spend 2 resources. So back here effectively, I'm going to spend 2 resources to play Working a Hunch to discover a clue, which effectively removes my cover up. So that was a fast action, so it doesn't count to my limit. I'm going to come down to here, and the wolf is going to attach to me. And so then it's going to be 6 fight versus its 4 fight. So I'm ahead by 2, and I do 2 damage to it due to Lita. -1, that's a good outcome. Take that, you awful cultist, you. And the second one is going to be a -1 again. So we kill the Wolfman. So I believe that's effectively 2 of my masks uncovered. But that is the end of my actions. Magnifying goes back into my hand because there are no clues at my location. So, drawing a card and resource. I've got deduction. Okay, so deduction is actually going to be really handy here to helping me. I could potentially get both clues at north side, which would be handy. Okay, we are going to add. I think we have to get out. Locked door. Attached to the location with the most clues without locked door. So I'm just going to attach it down to here to take it out of the way. I could get a victory point for getting this one down here actually. I could get a victory point for there. I need to get out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move here. I'm going to play the magnifying glass for 3. I'm going to play deduction whilst doing my book test. So it's currently going to be a book of 5 versus 3. And I'll gain an extra clue. 0. Wow, these have all suddenly become very good. I'm going to gain these 2 clues. And I discard deduction. So let's move there. And I think I have to resign, don't I? I have to resign. I can't imagine, there's no Agenda 3 card, so I can't imagine it's a bad thing. I'm going to have to resign because the Doom is going to tick it over anyway. I've got enough clues to uncover the next cultist, but he's going to spawn somewhere. It's going to take me a long time to find him. So I'm a bit disappointed by that. I think I've got a decent amount of victory points, but we'll have to see going into the final one. So reading the other side of this, so I'm choosing to resign. 12 bells ring out across the town. It is midnight. There is no time left to investigate the city. You must act based on the information you've collected from the cultists you've found. So, what would that enable us to do? We've got to read. So it's resolution 2, I believe. Resolution 2. So the 12 bells ring out, signalling midnight. You're out of time. The cult's ritual will begin shortly. You've managed to obtain some useful information about the cult and its plans. You can only hope it's enough. So, in the campaign log, under the cultists we interrogated, record the names of each unique cultist in the victory display. So, I have managed to get Wolfman Drew and Herman Collins. I don't think... I don't know whether the Masked Hunter counts as one. I think it will do. He's got all the same... Yeah, he's got all of the same sorts of things on him. Okay. In the campaign log, record under cultists have got away, each unique enemy still remaining in the cultist deck or in play. So we've got 3 of them there. We've got Peter Warren, Victoria Devereaux, and Ruth Turner. And in your campaign log, record it is past midnight. If the Ghoul priest is in your victory display, it doesn't matter, we killed him in the first round. And each investigator earns experience points equal to victory X for each card in the victory display. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we gain 1, 2 there. So we've actually gained 6 victory points, which, including the one I had left from the previous scenario, means I've actually got 7 to spend. So that's it for this time. I'm trying to skip ahead because I'm so anxious to play the last one. I don't know how you feel at home, but I hope you've enjoyed our playthrough of the Midnight Masks, scenario 2 of the Night of the Zealots. Please do join us as we continue through this campaign. And of course, please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. It really makes a massive difference to us as we grow. But until next time, thank you everyone. Take care. Bye.